We have 5 days for the negotiators to complete their work by the end of Friday, when the ministers arrive, and then the Danish minister, along with the other ministers, will take over the process for the next few days. And then next week, we have heads of state coming, which we've never had before. So that's a very unprecedented activity. The expectation is that things will be done before they arrive, but you never know, they may have to come and finish the job themselves. President Obama is arriving today in Norway to receive his Nobel Prize. He's going to come back again here a week from now, which will give him an opportunity to actually earn it, along with the other heads of state.
Yesterday, there were 5 proposals put forward within the 6-month period under Article 17 of the Convention, and one of those proposals came from Tuvalu. The intention of the proposal, the Tuvalu Proposal, is to have a legally binding agreement here in Copenhagen. Many of the island states are right at the front line of climate change. We have cyclones that are occurring more times than ever. We have salt water coming through. I mean, it's not just coming through the side of the sea. It's coming up from under the ground, and especially in Tuvalu. So they're right at the front line. So we need something comprehensive. We need something legally binding now. If we've come from Bali, we had a plan. We had 2 years to put those plans into action. We've come now to Copenhagen, and now we're being told that nothing can happen in Copenhagen. We have to wait 6 months, or 10 months, or a year. And the politically binding agreement, I mean, what is that? I mean, isn't the Bali Action Plan a politically binding agreement? The science tells us that we have to do this now. We have to peak soon. We have to act. We can't talk and keep talking and keep talking and keep talking. We have to act right now.
Very troubling news here. What countries are doing, developed countries are undermining their targets. They're creating a big logging loophole. The worst offenders in this area, I'll name them. Australia. It's a logging loophole big enough to drive a logging truck through. Austria. And that means whatever we thought the targets were to reduce emissions, they're smaller than that. Canada. Estonia. Because they're weakening their targets by saying that they do not want to account for an increase in emissions. Finland. Germany. Japan. So countries are planning to increase their emissions from forest harvest, from logging, and they're not going to account for them. New Zealand, Sweden, and the UK. So for example, Canada wants to increase its logging levels by 30%, not account for it. New Zealand wants to increase emissions from logging by nearly 200%, don't want to account for it. So it's a really big loophole. We call it the logging loophole, and it needs to be closed.
EU leaders need to be putting the money on the table. There's a real question here, sort of how the industrialized countries, which are also the wealthy countries that have caused climate change historically, how are they cleaning up the mess? The EU heads of state and government are meeting in Brussels today and on Friday, and they're going to have climate change in the Copenhagen negotiations on their agenda. They have to deliver for that to happen on a couple of things. They need to review their greenhouse gas emission target, which has come under criticism, seeing as we know economic analysis says it's much cheaper now to do what they said they were going to do. This meeting in Brussels is their last chance. They're getting together before the same leaders are coming to Copenhagen.